Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today's Thursday, September 11th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. 24 years ago, America and the world was altered when planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York City. Remembrances took place today in New York City, the Pentagon, also in Pennsylvania. Remembering the day, nearly 3,000 Americans who lost their lives. We'll have a look back on that. 5 HBCUs and Democratic National Committee were investigated after bomb threats were called in. Several of the HBCUs have canceled classes for the remainder of the week. This comes on the heel of the shooting death of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk at a white campus in Utah. Speaking of that, folks, we continue to see the reverberations from that. And African Americans have been, of course, talking about that as well, especially with a lot of the hateful things that have been said about African Americans by Charlie Kirk. Senate Democratic leaders are united in making policy demands to Republicans as they are trying to deal with the, of course, debt of the country. We'll show you what Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate had to say about that today. Also, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett going hard about the devastating impact or effects of MAGA Republican policies that are starving children. Hashtag we tried to tell you. Also, the State Department says they will actually bar people and revoke visas if they see that any foreign nationals make any public comments about Charlie Kirk. What the hell is that about? And in business news, Paramount Skydance announces they're going to make a major bid or make a bid to buy Warner Discovery, the parent company of CNN. That means that the company that has been bowing to Donald Trump, that already owns CBS, could potentially be owning CNN as well. Yeah, we got lots to talk about when it comes to that. So it's a lot we're going to cover. Also, this racist, white conservative pastor out of Austin, Texas, He says that white parents should give their kids the talk to beware of black people and crime. Wait till I show you what he had to say. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, 24 years ago, the nation was stunned when planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York City. Also, a plane crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and another plane that was on its way to D.C. was stopped and slammed into the ground in Pennsylvania. The passengers stopped that from happening, and of course, all aboard that plane died. Nearly 3,000 people in these three attacks perished. Today in New York City, there was a commemoration there and the Pentagon as well. Here is some of what took place in New York City. All right, folks. So we'll pull that in a second. Again, it's certainly a dark day in the country. We remember when planes were grounded for a considerable amount of time. No one knew if more attacks were going to be on the way, and it completely altered our lives. TSA was later created. You had all sorts of security precautions that went into place at football games and baseball stadiums and basketball games. And so much fundamentally changed in the United States on this day 24 years ago. And not only that, so many people, their lives have been impacted. So many people got what is called the 9/11 cancer. In fact, today I was looking at this report where a reporter from Fox News who spent lots of time there on the ground announced that he is dealing with that particular cancer. And so because of the debris and everything along those lines, folks have been dealing with that. So many people have died as a result of what took place on that particular day as a result of that cancer. So, yeah, Fox News' Eric Shawn has a cancer diagnosis stemming from his exposure on September 11th. And so, again, so much took place in this country. I was, of course, at the time running blackamericaweb.com and was immediately put on the Time Journal Morning Show to talk about what took place. And, of course, what took place there led to the Iraq War. And so there have been so many dominoes that have fallen ever since then as a result of what took place on September 11th. And so every year on this day, the remembrances, of course, you have the 9/11 memorials that are there in New York City at the Pentagon, also at that field in Pennsylvania as well. My panel, Dr. Nola Haynes, professor at Georgetown University School of Foreign Service, joining us from D.C., Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University, and Tim Fullerton, he's the host of the Find Out podcast. Glad to have all three of you here. Nola, I want to start with you. The foreign policy implications of what happened on that day have been vast, and here we sit 24 years later, and let's just be honest, our foreign policy was forever changed after that day. Of course, we went into Afghanistan, had to go back into Afghanistan, the killing of Osama bin Laden, the taking down of Iraq, the destabilization of the Middle East with the taking down of Iraq and Saddam Hussein, later Muammar Gaddafi, and so that day changed a whole lot in this country and in this world.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy this is where we're starting. On my show, Nightcap, we've been preparing to do a special 9/11 that's going to air next Tuesday. And the reason why it's important to me, like you said, Roland, being part of the national security and foreign policy community, I wanted to take a little time to talk about what 24 years later looks like in this political landscape. And also, how we're still dealing with the ramifications of it. You named a lot of things, but one thing that has consequences for why we sit here today, there are some that can link us pulling out of Afghanistan to Putin going into Ukraine for the second time, because he felt emboldened, thinking that we didn't have our eye on the prize, so to speak, after we left Afghanistan. So all of these kind of consequences can be traced back to when not only, America changed, but like you said, the world changed. And just today, I interviewed a young woman from who's at Howard University, and her father died of 9/11 related cancer. And she tells her story along with Representative Greg Meeks and a lot of other people in the foreign policy and national security community. And I'm going to take a little time to really just tell that story about all the different moments, like you named, from Iraq to Afghanistan. Why didn't the killing of Osama bin Laden end it, right? To Islamophobia, what New York was like at that time, what the rest of the country was like at that time. And we are still dealing with the fallout of that. And one of my experts even talk about the relationship between 9/11 and how we are dealing with political violence today. And I know that we're going to talk about that a little later on, but you can connect the dots in various places and can find a relationship to 9/11. So today is a somber day for many reasons, because it's not just about that day. It is about 24 years later and still dealing with the fallout.
And on that point, we talk about so much foreign policy-wise, Greg. We could just go on and on and on. Again, the lives lost, the hundreds of thousands of lives lost in Iraq, U.S. service soldiers, PTSD, soldiers coming back, the constant tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. Again, going into Afghanistan, defeating the Taliban. Taliban later getting back in control. We could just go on and on and on. And the billions upon billions, more than $1 trillion of American taxpayer dollars spent as well in the aftermath of what took place on 9/11.
Absolutely. Fascism never misses an opportunity to make some hay out of disaster. I've seen young people, including some of my students who were not born 24 years ago, who say that, in fact, one student, they said that was the last time that we were all together as a country. And I got a little sad when I heard him say that, because this isn't a nation. The nativism, the hyper-patriotism congealed around an agenda that we are still paying the price for, as you said, to the tune of billions of dollars. The warmongers, the Donald Rumsfelds, the Dick Cheneys, the hapless George W. Bush, used really as a signing pen. Remember, this is what gave birth to the Patriot Act. And then this is what gave birth the following year to the Department of Homeland Security. And then the year after that, 2003, ICE. So talk about ramifications, talk about ginning up fear and fear-mongering. Let's not forget that the only human being to stand up in the federal legislature in either house and say, oh no, was the current mayor of Oakland, Barbara Lee, then Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and how widely she was excoriated. And of course, going into Afghanistan is one thing, but hey, Donald Rumsfeld, let's not miss this opportunity. Remember Colin Powell shaking a vial of chalk dust, claiming it was yellow cake, and the next thing you know, we're in Iraq forever. And destabilizing that region, continuing to pour. Remember that 9/11/2001 came not even a week after the end of the World Conference Against Racism in South Africa. That was the conference that Colin Powell had an inkling that he wanted to go, but Condoleezza Rice, serving her master, said no. the United States cannot go because you are going to condemn Israel and equate Zionism with racism. And the American delegation included a number of African Americans, Conrad Worrell, Mashriki Jawans, and so many others who did go. And that would have made a bigger splash had it not been, of course, for the towers and Pentagon and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. So 24 years later, I think we have an obligation, particularly as people of African descent, not to just go along with the conversation about the trauma and the unity, but to really understand the direct connection between 24 years ago and what we are facing right now in terms of the spreading fascism and the imperialism of the United States.
Tim, obviously, massive loss of life. People were left without mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and grandparents as well. And there were people who were fleeing to houses of worship. Folks who had never been in some time. Folks were praying, not knowing what was going to happen next. And then there was this thirst for vengeance in this country to go after the very people. And most of those attackers were from Saudi Arabia. And then we found out that safe passage was being allowed, even when planes were grounded for Saudi nationals tied to the royal family, and so many things. You know, Craig Unger has his book as well, The House of Saud, House of Bush, House of Saud, and so many different things happen. And I think when we reflect on this day, the aftermath of what happened on this day cannot be measured, and I don't think people really, really understand the depths of where this nation went after what took place on this day 24 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. And it was a horrific, horrific day. I mean, I was in D.C. when it happened. I was on 701 Pennsylvania Avenue. So I felt a lot of that fear that people had. And, you know, George W. Bush had a real opportunity there to reset and really move us in a positive direction. And instead, as you mentioned, Roland, we decided to choose vengeance. And, you know, it was one thing to go into Afghanistan, but you know, we were lied into what I would call the greatest foreign policy disaster, at least in the last 50 years, maybe ever. The ramifications are just incalculable. We had over 1 million Iraqis lost their lives, most of whom were innocent. You know, tens of thousands of Americans were both killed and wounded in this. And then, you know, the government has turned their backs on first responders in the lower Manhattan. You know, Jon Stewart and others had to raise hell to get benefits for these people who were, you know, doing the best job that they could in helping people. And then we turned our backs on them. The destabilization of the Middle East is obviously, as your really great other panelists have mentioned, significant. You know, it emboldened Iran to build a nuclear program, which obviously we are dealing with to this day. And, you know, we were a country that, you know, George W. Bush was left a surplus by Bill Clinton. And we had an opportunity to be heading in a great direction, focus on clean energy, get off foreign oil. And instead, we chose militarization and costing the lives of millions of people to this day are still dealing with things. And I don't think people fully understand 24 years later the damage that this Bush administration did.
Yep. And so it was so many things happened. And so, again, remembrances are taking place. Again, our on September 11th. Going to a break, we come back. HBCU campuses on facing threats, bomb threats today, one day after right-wing provocateur Charlie Kirk was gunned down in Utah. Is there any other reason that this is happening today? Why all of a sudden would HBCUs be getting bomb threats today? But remember, we've seen this before, even when it came to elections, how HBCUs have been targeted because of racist hate. Also, so many national shows, there have been so much conversation over the last 24 hours talking about the issue of political violence. Here's the problem. We don't know who committed this act. We don't know who did it. We don't know that person or person's ideology. We don't know the reasons for it. So why are so many people automatically jumping to political violence and not waiting for this simply to unfold. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one.
'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world till the darkness falls forever. Baby, let's be the dawn when it feels like it's taking me over. You're making me stronger, my sweet love.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
DC has been ravaged and taken over by tanks, soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, multiple HBCUs have been under a lockdown amid threats to their campuses. Alabama State University, Hampton University, Virginia State University, Southern University in Baton Rouge, as well as Bethune-Cookman University in Florida were all placed on lockdown today, each citing potential threats made against their campuses. In Atlanta, Spelman College urged students and faculty to avoid campus and implemented heightened security measures following a threat made against nearby Clark Atlanta University. Campus police at Clark Atlanta University confirmed the threat had been received, prompting a shelter-in-place order. These incidents come one day after right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk was shot dead on a college campus in Utah. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries released a statement about these threats. This is what he had to say. He said, the violent threats made today against several historically black colleges and universities throughout the nation are despicable, and yet another indication that the explosion of hateful extremism is out of control. We stand with the students, faculty, and communities that have had their peace and safety disrupted. I'm thankful to local law enforcement for their swift response. The Department of Justice and FBI must thoroughly investigate any potential act of domestic terrorism and not turn a blind eye when black college students are apparently being viciously targeted. These attempts to intimidate everyday Americans will not stand. We need leadership at this moment that brings the country together. Now, a threat was also made against the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Senate staff received an alert from the U.S. Capitol regarding the responses of the National Party's headquarters. According to a statement from the U.S. Capitol Police, officers were alerted to the potential threat at 1:07 p.m. Eastern and began sweeping the building and surrounding areas. As of the latest update, Southwest D.C., a DNC spokesperson confirmed that the incident was determined to be a non-credible bomb threat. Now, keep in mind, the DNC headquarters also, they still have not found the person who placed those pipe bombs outside of the DNC headquarters in January of 2021. I want to go to my panel. Greg, I want to start with you. You're a professor at Howard University. Give us a sense of what it felt like on that campus today. Howard was not one of those schools that were impacted. But the thing here, I mean, what does it say that after this day, HBCUs were targeted? I mean, the reality is, in this climate we're in this anti-black climate, HBCUs are a huge target for racists in America.
Roland, I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. When the first reports began to filter out earlier today, I went to several of my group chats because, of course, I have colleagues at every one of those campuses and most of the HBCUs, and of course, those students from most of them. And the reports I got back, some were sheltering in place, like Clark. Students at Spelman were locked down for about an hour next door. Morehouse, of course, got a report back, and we were in conversation. And the general sentiment was this: you're not going to intimidate us, and you're not going to scare us. These white nationalists are at war with each other. They've been at war with each other since they left Europe 500 years ago. They are, in moments like this, when they're desperate, in moments like this, they get more and more absurd, and we get pulled into this violence. This is not a nation. It is a country with a lot of different people in it. And if you want to go look for people who are killing people, the last place you should look is historically Black colleges and universities. And if you think a few phone calls and some emails that will be taken seriously, of course, but if you think for a minute that that's going to stop us, you know what I did today, Roland? After I checked on my people, and as I was checking on my people, I went to teach my classes. That's what I did.
Nola, again, we talk about threats. Our HBCUs obviously have to be proactive. And again, we talk about this stuff. It's real what we're living in. We are literally living in a climate where Black people are being attacked. You look at social media, are being vilified. You take one Black man who's schizophrenic, who kills a white woman on a public transportation, and every Black person in America has to be held into account. But if somebody white is killed, it's not like every white person has to address that. This thing is real. The constant attacks on DEI. We can go on and on and on. And so we have to stay alert and be vigilant because we are on. Not only that, you take Latinos, and now the Supreme Court has said they can be searched at any given time just because of how they look and how they sound. What we have literally is an attack on people of color in the United States by white America.
Absolutely. And this is a historical escalation, right? Even it doesn't matter what the person may or may not look like who shot Charlie Kirk or what their ideology is. The fact is, folks with guns, folks with chips on their shoulders, a lot of insurrectionists who were let go after January 6th, these people have already made up their minds a long time ago about who the enemy is, right? They have already made up their mind. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what facts say. It doesn't matter what logic says. What matters is to them, we are the enemy. We are their oldest enemy, right? And then you have immigrants that come in, from different parts of the world who also get put into this categorization of the other and the enemy. So that is the reality in which I know that I was raised in. And as we sit here still in 2025, that reality is starker than ever. There was a post on Dear White Staffers on Instagram from a Black student asking her white professor at a PWI, a public white institution, private white institution, however you want to phrase it, asking her professor if it was okay if she stayed in her dorm or in her apartment because she was afraid to come to campus. And her professor's response was, don't let them win. And then her response was, well, as like one of 3 Black people, in this classroom, I stand out, I am a target. And as someone who teaches at a PWI, I can tell you in these moments, my Black students are actually the most worried because I stand out, they stand out. Greg was talking about being at a HBCU, there is that community aspect. There is that resilience. Those aspects aren't necessarily there at PWIs. And so it's a very interesting kind of parallel where, you have Black students in one instance, they have that community. We stand together, like I wish you would kind of mentality. And then where I work, my students, it's a completely different situation. But the last thing I'll say is this. This is not a new situation for us, but I will say through my professional lens, things are escalating. We are beyond warm. We are approaching hot every single day when we are talking about this kind of nuanced civil war. We're definitely in a warm to hot phase.
And see, Tim, the issue that we are dealing with, is that historically, if we go back to the Department of Justice, we go back to the Black Freedom Movement, we talk about the protection of civil rights workers and marchers and protesters. Bobby Kennedy was the Attorney General. And so historically, we're talking about looking to the federal government for protection. The problem that we're now living in is that the folks running the federal government see us as enemies. And the American people, especially Black people, do not have the trust in the Department of Justice, the trust in U.S. Marshals, the trust in federal law enforcement. Again, when you have Stephen Miller and Corey Lewandowski and Tom Homan, when you have Ice Barbie Christie Nome, when you have Donald Trump as their leader, literally saying the things that they are saying and what they are doing, folk are saying, hey, man, we can't look to them for protection if we're being targeted. I mean, this is the same guy who canceled the the Secret Service detail for Vice President Kamala Harris, just because.
Yes. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I am not surprised about the bomb threats today, based on what Donald Trump and his administration and MAGA talks about on a daily basis. You guys are correct. They other people, and they create this right-wing media ecosystem where they're only pumped full of this racist nonsense, and they end up believing it at the end of the day. I don't think if I was a Black American, I would not trust the Department of Justice. They gutted the Office of Civil Rights. I mean, Jeanine Pirro, who is now the acting district attorney or whatever of DC, is saying she's not going to prosecute people who are open carrying. Well, that's a signal to white America. That is not a signal to Black America. Let's be very clear. And it is dangerous rhetoric like this that is putting us in the situation that we are in. You know, the shooting of Charlie Kirk is a horrible, horrible act, but they have been fomenting violence on the right forever. And all you have to do is Google which side is the perpetrator of most political violence in this country. It is not trans people, which they have tried to do. It is not Black Americans. It is, it is the right wing, because they drive people with fear. And fear delivers for them electorally. And to be perfectly honest, more people who look like me need to be saying this to their communities so that we break the stranglehold that they have on white America, especially older white America, and say, no, this is not correct. This has to stop. And we need to address the real problems rather than othering people like we have done for, honestly, 200 years or how long, 250 years or something like that. It is time to change that, and more people have to stand up and shout it.
So here's the thing that is confusing to me, and I'm seeing all of these different networks in their coverage. Time Magazine, let me see, I saw it, I sent to some people yesterday. Time Magazine put a cover, Enough, the Killing of Charlie Kirk and the Epidemic of American Political Violence. And it goes on and on and on. Here's the problem that I have here, Tim. No one knows what the hell they're talking about. Now, assumptions obviously are being made. Assumptions are being made because he kicked off whatever this tour at Utah, this university in Utah, okay? But to me, it is journalistic malpractice and you're seeing journalistic malpractice to start assigning reasons behind what happened yesterday when you don't know what the reasons are. Folks, you have no suspect or suspects. FBI puts a photo out. You've got no manifest. You've got nothing. An early report by the Wall Street Journal about these anti-fascist transgender markings on the inside of the rifle. 20 minutes later, the ATF was like, hey, time out. We haven't checked any of this out. So all of a sudden, and so you're seeing this whole deal. And what I have been saying to people is, shut up. Shut up. You literally don't know what you're talking about. And I just think that when people jump to conclusions, we've seen this before in other stories, when something happens and then it's like, oh, we found out later what the truth was. You don't know. There's nothing wrong with just shutting up and letting law enforcement do what they do. I believe that what you have seen in the last 24 hours with the ramping up of all of this are folk wanting to jump to conclusions. It does not serve anybody to jump to a conclusion. And even Donald Trump did the exact same thing. And this is the problem. When you heighten these things, how about actually waiting for real information? Is it that hard?
For a normal, sane person, no, it is not hard. But the reality is that the Republican Party takes their marching orders from Donald Trump. And he sat in the Oval Office yesterday, I believe, behind the Resolute desk and blamed Democrats for this shooting. And like you said, Roland, we don't know who this person is. The same thing happened last year with the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Right-wing media immediately jumped on the fact, and they said this was clearly a Democrat, this was left-wing violence. And what did we find out later? This guy was a mentally disturbed Republican. And I think that there is a lesson here that I don't think the media is getting, and I don't think people online are getting, is that a lot of times, and when you are fermenting this type of rage on the right, you're radicalizing people with mental illness who may just lash out at you. We don't know, but I have not said any of that. I have not said it was a Republican or a Democrat, and I think more people need to take a breath. And there's such a need on the right to weaponize all of these things for political gain, and it's disgusting. And sadly, a lot of the media has been going along with it. We simply don't know who this guy is, and we don't know what his agenda is. He made some mistakes, so hopefully we will be able to find him. But until then, anybody who is claiming that this is a left or a right problem is full of it, and it really should be ashamed of themselves.
And see what this does, Nola. It fires people up. It gets them all hyped. You've got Jesse Waters on Fox News declaring there's going to be retribution, all this sort of stuff. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And so we often talk about police, how they should de-escalate. This is where a lot of these media people should shut the hell up as well. To me, it's utterly ridiculous. You know nothing. You literally know nothing about what happened, the reason behind it. Nothing. Not a little bit, not some. Nola, literally nothing.
Roland, you are still operating as a professional. We all know that professionalism, facts, and logic no longer exist on this timeline. I want to say, two things. I want to say something from through my national security lens, what I see there, and then also from a comms and media perspective in this kind of new media ecosystem where it's rapid response and it's very hard to fact check and to get things correct because you're trying to beat the algorithm, right? You're trying to ride that wave. But from a national security perspective, first of all, to automatically go to, it's the left, it's liberals, blaming Black people. We are the perpetual enemy. It doesn't matter what we do or what we don't do. I want people to first understand the demographics in Utah, because this happened in Utah, where there's under 2% of Black people that live in Utah, first and foremost, right? So if there's a Black person perched somewhere with some sort of rifle or some sort of weapon, they will probably stand out. First, let's start there. Secondly, to your point, we don't know anything. So why 2.5 seconds after Charlie Kirk was shot, before he was announced dead, that corporate media, right-wing media, was blaming the left, blaming the liberals? This is dangerous, and it's also strategic. To what end, some people may say? It's exactly this, right? It's the fear on HBCU campuses. It's all the rage baiting that's happened and all the videos and the clips that you're seeing. It's the rapid response. It's the kind of spike in the algorithm. I personally believe that too many people have already bought into this kind of this belief that this is the right way the country should be heading in terms of this is how white people get this country back. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter if it's facts. It's about scaring people. It is about terrorizing people. As we sit here today on the 24th anniversary of 9/11, it is about terrorizing people. And that is what is happening. People are traumatized and terrorized, and that is the end goal. That is what's in the toolkit of fascism and totalitarianism, period.
What I say to people is be quiet. When you know nothing, don't just make up stuff, Greg. But we know there's a cable news system now with social media, and now people just, it's like not even forget a news cycle. News cycles don't even exist anymore. We literally are living on not even hour by hour, minute by minute, it's second by second. And I just wish a lot of people would just shut the hell up, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So if somebody asks me, what do you think? There's nothing to think. You don't know.
Well, I mean, the scientists tell us, don't they, brother, that nature abhors a vacuum. And I agree with everything that Dr. Haynes just said. Nolan, as you were talking about earlier, being at the White College campus, my heart goes out to you, because I absolutely, I went to Temple, went to Ohio State after that Tennessee State. And even while I work at HBCU, I know exactly what it's like to be in a sea of whiteness and with your head on a swivel. So I can't express the depth of feeling that I have for that. And so that's a very real thing. I agree with you 100%. The objective of these fascists is not de-escalation, but escalation. These small-minded folk, they have no morals, they have no ethics. All they want is power. And, they are, and I'll give you, Tim, they're taking the directions of Donald Trump, but they were primed to take those directions by Newt Gingrich, by Barry Goldwater, George Wallace, Richard Nixon, Lee Atwater, Roger Stone. I mean, in other words, this is the trajectory. There isn't a left and a right. There's fascism and anti-fascism at this point. And being quiet is not an option, because our silence is filled in the void with the Laura Loomers. Charlie Kirk, God bless Charlie Kirk, God bless his family, God bless them all. I have nothing to say about Charlie Kirk. He's not relevant to me. He wasn't relevant yesterday. He's not relevant today. He won't be relevant tomorrow. Charlie Kirk is a symptom. He lost his life. That's a tragedy. Preston Brooks beat the hell out of Senator Charles Sumner on the floor of the United States Senate in the days before the Civil War. Now, Sumner survived, but there was blood all over the place. This is the kind of violence we see on the verge of other types of violence. Before it was over, hundreds of thousands, 700,000 people lost their lives in the United States Civil War. That's not going to happen again in the same way. However, when you see a moment when somebody loses their life in a way that is then broadcast over the entire world, and in the wake of it, before this man's corpse is cold, the president of the United States is on the air blaming the people who he has called the enemy of the people, and like a cascade of purebred, clan-bred, fascist, Nazi hatred, his choir begins to tune in on everybody in the world who they see as their open enemies. I'm not sure that silence is the strategy to combat fascism in this moment. I'm not saying I know what is, but I know these people aren't interested in de-escalation. Their whole objective is escalation.
Folks, we got some breaking news. News reports are coming in. This is actually from the Fox News Twitter feed. The U.S. Naval Academy is on lockdown after a midshipman who had been kicked out of the school has returned to campus armed with a weapon. Multiple sources inside the U.S. Naval Academy tell Lucas Fox News. Gunshots have been heard inside Bancroft Hall, which houses the midshipman. This was posted about 15 minutes ago. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to read more of the story here. Is this this video here from the Naval Academy? Control, let me know what this is. All right, so this is a live look at a ambulance helicopter that is taking off from the U.S. Naval Academy, of course. Again, we do not have any further details. Do not have any further details about how many people have been impacted. I'm reading the Fox News story. One official on campus said the shooter is knocking on doors pretending to be a military policeman. Naval Support Activity Annapolis, in coordination with local law enforcement, is currently responding to reports of threats made to the Naval Academy. NSAA PAO Lieutenant Nawi Lamar told Fox News the base is on lockdown out of an abundance of caution. This is a developing situation, and we will provide updates as they become available. And so, again, this is a live look here of the U.S. Naval Academy. And, again, just moments ago, we saw this helicopter, this ambulance helicopter taking off from the grounds there. And we don't know exactly. Is this now? Is this another helicopter that's landing? All right. So this is so we showed you where they had one helicopter that was taking off. Now we have another helicopter that is landing, and so let's see what happens here. What exactly are they doing? It looks like they are positioning to land, and we'll need to see if they're going to be transporting anyone to that helicopter. So this is happening live right now, folks, at the Naval Academy. At the Naval Academy, you see the helicopters now touch down. Again, an active shooter reported at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Multiple injuries have been reported. There's a massive police presence surrounding this facility. And again, this has been coming down in the past 30 to 40 minutes. 2 Maryland State Police medevac helicopters landed moments ago. Now, according to a reporter here, says no active threat at this time. But we just give me 1 second. I'm actually reading different reports. The city of Annapolis put out a statement from USNA Naval Support Activity Annapolis in coordination with local law enforcement is currently responding to reports of threats made to the Naval Academy. And so we are, again, let's see here. This is a statement released moments ago, about 10 minutes ago, from the office of Governor Wes Moore. In working with local, state, I'm working with local, state, and federal law enforcement authorities. There is currently no credible threat to the Naval Academy. That was a statement coming from Governor Wes Moore about 10 minutes ago. Again, we do not have any info on the status of those who have been impacted. Some reports are saying that 3 were shot. The shooter's been captured or killed. That has not been confirmed as well. And keep in mind, Tim, just yesterday, in addition to the Charlie Kirk shooting in Utah, there was 3 people were shot on a high school campus in Colorado as well. And the reality is, we're living in a time where in this country we have an epidemic of gun violence. The facts are facts. When you look at other industrialized nations, there's no nation that comes close to the United States when it comes to gun violence. No campus is safe or a buffer zone from gun violence.
If more guns kept us safer, we would be the safest country on earth. We are not even close. We can't even get universal background checks on all gun sales. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but in roughly 30 states, you can buy a gun in a private sale with never passing a background check. And we have to place the blame squarely where it deserves to be, which is the Republican Party, which is basically an extension of the NRA. They won't even let us do that. They won't let us close other loopholes. The loophole that allowed the white supremacists to kill those, I believe, 9 or 10 churchgoers in South Carolina 10 years ago. We don't do anything to limit assault weapons. We had an assault weapons ban for 10 years. You could see the spike in mass shootings once that expired under George W. Bush. There are simple things that we can do to solve this problem, but Republicans would rather say, look at the horribleness of Chicago or look at the horribleness of DC, when the reality is gun violence is worse in red states than it is in blue states. States with weaker gun laws have more gun crime. And they would rather demonize the Black community, the Latino community, trans people, than to actually address a problem, because the fear works, and same with the other stuff. It works to feed their base because they know they're losing on policy issues. They know they're losing on healthcare. They know they're losing on how to run the government. They know they're losing on foreign policy, all of these things. So they have to do this, play this game, and they are willing to put lives on the line in order to get what they want. And it is disgusting and it is shameful. And we have to come together as a society and find some solutions to this, because this is madness that we lose 33,000 Americans every year to gun deaths.
And here's the thing here, Nola. What do you often hear come from Republicans who defend this? They talk about the need to put guns in the hand of the good guys. This is the U.S. Naval Academy. Lots of security, lots of guns on that campus, and there still has been a mass shooting.
Absolutely. We've never been a well country, in terms of our mental health, our spiritual health. We've never been a well country. I would love for someone to do research on COVID and its relationship to the escalation in gun violence. I think that, I don't know the situation here. I'm not specifically talking about what's happening at the Naval Academy. And then also there was at UMass Boston, there was a shooting situation there. Apparently there's no threat, but I mean, multiple things have happened today. We are not a well country. The fact that we put the life, we are honoring someone who definitely was divisive, at the least, over dead children. That tells you all you need to know about our country and our priorities. And, you know, the Black boogeyman works. It's always worked.
Nola, hold on one second. This is this live look here. This is one of the shooting victims being transported to the medevac helicopter. Is being loaded onto the helicopter. Again, earlier we saw one helicopter taking off. We do not know how many people were on that helicopter, but we do see this is video out of a live look out of the U.S. Naval Academy, where a lockdown's in place, where there's been a mass shooting, and we see a victim being taken to the medevac helicopter. Not sure whether the helicopter, what hospital they're going to, but this is the second state police medevac helicopter that's been on the grounds there. Nola, go ahead.
You know, the scary thing about this, Roland, what keeps rolling around in my mind is how under this administration, you know, renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War, relaxing, you know, reducing requirements for the FBI and for military. Again, we are not a well country, and you are putting guns in the hands of many unwell people. And what is going to happen when the requirements are lowered? There are little to no background checks, and you are training people to be killing machines. What is that going to mean? This is something that I am incredibly worried about. And again, these facts and these realities don't matter, because it's easier to send the military and agents here to DC because of some teenagers in Navy Yard versus the gun epidemic in this country. There's real data. There are real families that are impacted. This is a real problem, and it is going to get out of control. There is no way to rein this in outside of stricter gun law policies, period.
But the reality, Greg, we know exactly the NRA has a stranglehold on the Republican Party. They will shut it down nationally. They will shut it down on the state level. A lot of people thought that the one moment to actually deal with gun control in this country was when those little kids at Sandy Hook were gunned down. Even that didn't do it for the GOP.
No. And again, the GOP is the delivery system. But what courses through the GOP now? What at one time coursed through the Democrats a century, not even recent. It's white nationalism. So we use GOP, but they're a delivery system for something that is in the DNA of this country. I don't say we when it comes to the United States of America. I say the United States of America. I'm a citizen. I was born here. My people went through captivity here, and their people were trafficked. They did not go to captivity. The United States, like every country in the history of the world, will go, perhaps even being hastened by the moment that we're in right now. After all, the Civil War ain't that long ago. African people have tried, along with others of goodwill, to build something different than what this place was designed to be, which was a criminal enterprise based on colonialism and labor theft and brutality and violence. And every time we have all tried to do that, that nasty thing in its DNA has risen up like an immune system to defend itself. What we're seeing right now is not an aberration. It is as thoroughly American as anything in the history of this collection of settler colonies turned into a settler state. It's important to understand the martial language involved here. War. Steve Bannon today, ranting from his Capitol Hill enclave, said that Charlie Kirk is a casualty of war. We are at war. The language is war. Of course, only Congress can change the name of the Department of Defense, but it doesn't stop the nasty little men like Russell Vogt or the head of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, and the rest of these ideologues, like last Thursday, when you played the Senator Schmidt out of Missouri. They are at war, and they have real enemies. The real enemies is anyone who they see that could threaten their grip on power. The easy targets, the indigenous people, us, the Chinese, the Asians, and then the others, the whites who would dare say, I pick my common humanity over my race. They become race traders in their language. To hear elected officials on the floor of the federal legislature today, Anna Paula Luna, the MAGA Muppet, Mr. Johnson, to hear Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Democrats, you caused this, or we need to have a, understand that this isn't all white people, but that this is a notion of violence that is not only pervasive in the United States, it is the default position in this country, and it is wrapped with race. Finally, the EU today. We saw in Strasbourg, the European Parliament President, Roberta Metsola, rejected these right-wingers who tried to hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. They tried a couple of times. Charlie Weimer's tried from the right-wing European Conservatives and Reformists Party. And they were like, we need to have a woman. No. And the EU Parliament erupted with protest. Why? Because people in the world know fascism when they see it. And then nobody knows fascism better than the Europeans when it comes to European-style fascism, because they lived through 2 world wars. And what we are seeing right now is a war in the mind of those who have declared war on all of us. And nobody is safe until we rise up, seize political power. And in this has to be ended through the political process, because these people are not putting up their guns. They see themselves through the Second Amendment as the well-armed militia. Every last one of them in their minds is the deputy police. And you got a madman sitting in public housing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue who is saying, I'm going to make you the deputy police, even as I unleash my secret police. Come on, let me give you $100,000 a year. Put a mask on your face and snatch somebody. This is our time. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. I will have the Crockett Chronicles, where Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett goes hard after MAGA for their plans to literally cut food subsidies for children. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to raise $1 million between now and December 31st of this year. This will fund our efforts to be able to travel across this country to tell the stories that need to be told. If you want to support us for Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here as well. And, of course, you can use that for credit cards as well. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Make checks payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Back in a moment.
This week on the other side of change.
Hurricane Katrina, 20 years later. Cannot believe that it's been more than 20 years since we saw Black people and Black communities across New Orleans and the South being failed by our government. But it's a harrowing lesson. We're going to unpack how race and class intersect in ways and how we need to talk about this government doing more for our communities. Again, you're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to Black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped Black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hello, folks. I'm actually broadcasting the show from the 30th Congressional District, which, of course, represented by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. And, man, was she giving the Republicans all they deserve yesterday in a committee hearing, chastising them for calling themselves pro-life, but looking to starve kids. She hit them in a whole bunch of areas. Roll it.
Farm bankruptcies in 2025 already exceed 2024 levels. That is from Hoosier Ag. And the second one says farm bankruptcies rising in 2025. All right. The reason that I wanted to talk about farming is because it seems like we think that we can talk about things in some sort of vacuum. You can't talk about healthy children if you don't talk about whether or not they have money to access any food, whether it's good or bad. Some would argue that if you don't have money to access food at all, whether it's good or bad, it's probably bad for the child to not have anything in their body. The reason that those on my side of the aisle keep bringing up these cuts is because we know that we already have a hunger problem in this country. Considering the fact that we have a hunger problem in this country, it's now only been compounded by the poor policies of this administration and House Republicans as well as Senate Republicans. You see, I don't believe that you can just have a mantra where you say, make America healthy again, without actually doing the work, because as the good book says, faith without works is dead. So let's talk about the work that really needs to be done. Number one, it's in policy. Policy that doesn't look like ridiculous tariffs that unfortunately now have our farmers going under. In fact, to be very specific, farm bankruptcies are up 55% compared to 2023. Which minimizes the amount of food that we do have that will be available. And ultimately, that food will be more expensive because that's simple economics. Yet at the same time, the $6 a day that people get to eat, that's going away. And besides the SNAP benefits themselves, we're talking about those kids that only get their food at school. And we are able to set the guidelines for whether or not that's healthy food or not. The reality is that I am so disturbed because under this Department of Health and Human Services, literally, they have become the threat to the American people. Serving from the state of Texas, unfortunately, we had to endure the very beginning of the measles outbreak. For the first time in 20 years, children are dying. That doesn't look like making us healthier again. In fact, a lot of people want to talk about measles, but the plague is back now. We had our first contact of that recently came out. And we know how the secretary feels about polio. Polio may end up coming back. Right now, President Trump, Secretary Kennedy, and congressional Republicans are perpetuating the most significant public health attack on Americans ever. In just a few months, they have diminished HHS's ability to respond to outbreaks and emerging health threats. They've dismantled teams that ensure Americans are consuming safe foods. They've weaponized the federal government against universities performing world-class research. They've implemented the most significant cut to healthcare in American history. These people hate it when American families have access to health care. They hate it when American families have access to healthy foods. They hate it when American families have access to affordable housing. They hate it when American families have access to affordable childcare because these people simply hate America. Nearly everything they have done makes Americans less safe and less healthy. The consequences of their actions are simple. More children will die and have. More children will go hungry. More children will live in extreme poverty. More children living with disabilities will lose access to school-based therapies and services. So, Dr. Fink, you're here to rubber stamp this agenda, an agenda that's so unpopular the Republicans are deciding to cheat in next year's elections. But nevertheless, let's talk about it. Dr. Fink, in 2021, you provided a presentation at the University of North Texas Health Speakers Bureau titled Women's Health. Do you remember that, yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Well, during this presentation, you spoke at length about the importance of vaccines. In fact, one of your slides stated, quote, clusters of under or non-immunization have the potential to foster transmission of vaccine-preventable diseases, including measles. Is this a slide from your presentation, yes or no?
I haven't reviewed that presentation recently,
so we're going to go you don't know. You work under someone who has become the face of the anti-vax movement. So who's right, you or the secretary?
Thank you so much for that.
You or the secretary?
I would like to tell you that Secretary
You or the
Kennedy
secretary?
is challenging us to use gold standard.
So you're going to filibuster, and I only have 25 seconds. So I'm going to go with you, assume you, but you know that he's your boss. This administration has lost all credibility with the American people and our global partners. No one believes you care about improving health outcomes when you're slashing NIH research into Alzheimer's disease, women's health, cancer, and diabetes. No one believes you care about public health when you cut programs that support maternal and child health and eliminate Healthy Start. No one believes you care about children when you implement the largest cut to Medicaid in history. Americans know the truth, and the truth is that this administration, with the help of congressional Republicans, has unleashed the most significant assault on public health in American history. The people will die as a result. I yield back the remainder of my time.
It's amazing, Nola, they call themselves pro-life.
Mm-hmm. Pro-life has somewhat of a interesting definition because they don't want you to get rid of the child that you can't afford, but they won't help you to afford that child that you can't afford. It is about something far more sinister in my view. You know, it's definitely to control women's bodies. There's that, right? And then it's always been, you need a part of the population who's going to go to the military, right? And now we're in a situation where we are in a deficit regarding farms, regarding all types of certain type of work that Americans just are no longer used to and just do not want to do. So it is one situation where white folks are concerned with the dwindling population of white births, you know, for a different set of reasons why they are concerned with births from Black folks, brown folks, you know, Asian folks, because the way in which this country is turning is they want people in certain labor industries as they are deporting communities of people who have been doing that work for a long time. So where are you going to get farm hands? Where are you going to get factory workers? Where are you going to get people to join the military? So in my view, this is far more sinister. It always has been. And the things that Representative Crockett pointed out, it's just blatant hypocrisy. And, you know, as a social scientist, with a STEM background, it broke my heart to hear that woman sit there and she was about to try to find all types of reasons to support her boss, who is a conspiracy theorist. It doesn't go beyond that. This country has been overtaken by conspiracy theorists, not by professionals, not by experts, but this is the situation that we are in, and real people are going to suffer. Children are going to die. Older people are going to die. People are going to get sick. That is simply the reality.
Look, Tim, I'm telling you, I keep saying this. I've been saying this since Vice President Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump. The only way this changes, the only way this is going to change is white people in America are going to have to feel maximum pain. So everything you heard Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett lay out right there speaks right to y'all gonna lose food, y'all gonna lose health care, y'all gonna lose jobs. It's just gonna be lost, lost, lost. You ain't getting money for housing. The tariffs are gonna kick your butt. And listen, black people, we've been trying to tell America and saving America. And if white people in America actually listen to black people, we will be much better off in this country. But they keep getting this hard lesson. And all of those people who voted for Trump and they vouch for Trump and they wear their little MAGA hats and they fly their little flags, all them broke-ass people are about to learn a hard lesson. He never gave a damn about them. He don't give a damn about them now, and he's been lying to them the whole time, and they fell for the hook, line, and sinker.
There's a reason why we named our podcast the Find Out Podcast, because in November, and it was mostly white people, we effed around, not me, but white people effed around, and now we're finding out. And there's a perfect example of people needing to see it in their wallet and not being able to have empathy for others. There were these farmers in Arkansas earlier this week or late last week who were begging Donald Trump for help because his tariffs are hurting them. Well, Donald Trump told them what he was going to do. They just didn't think it was going to affect them, and they were fine with other people suffering, people of color suffering, trans people, just not them. And I think you're right, Roland. Like there are a lot, like the majority of people who look like me in this country do need to, for some reason, need to feel it directly before they will do anything. And the reality is they are about to find out big time because the tariffs, that bill is starting to come due. Americans are realizing that they are paying the tax. I mean, Republicans say they hate taxes. They just put billions of tax increases on the poorest Americans in the country. And all of these policies where we're cutting government services, we're cutting SNAP benefits for children, as Congresswoman Crockett was talking about. What? We cut $1.1 trillion from Medicaid, which provides, healthcare services for poor working class people. Also, mental health services for poor working class people. We talked about the gun violence issue before. Like this administration seems hell-bent on destroying this country financially. And, I'm hopeful that more people will realize that they are going to be affected in a negative way. Their groceries are continuing to go up. Donald Trump won on saying he was going to lower prices. He's not done a single thing to lower prices in this country. In fact, he's done the opposite. And, I hope that there are more people out there who are going to raise hell about this, because this is devastating people across the country, regardless of their race. I'm just hopeful that the people who look like me are waking up to the fact that this guy is not interested in helping them. He's using you to help his billionaire friends get a little bit extra in their pocket and screw everybody else.
And this is what Democrats have to be pounding. I said this, Greg, to Congressman Ro Khanna was on here. I said it to Bernie Sanders. I'll say it to Elizabeth Warren, to all of them. Y'all need to take the fight to these folks direct and literally look them in the eye and say, he not bailing y'all out. He don't give a damn about y'all. Just letting y'all know. I mean, because here's the deal. And this is where the audience has to understand American history. I love it, Greg, when they say, black people, y'all have been voting Democrat for 60 years, and what have you gotten? Broke, poor, uneducated white folks. Y'all have been voting for Republicans a lot longer, and y'all still broke, you still uneducated, you still poor, you don't have housing, a lot of y'all got bad teeth. So I thought they cared about the working class.
Well, that's not true, Roland. Well, of course, I know you're being facetious, and it'll be funny if there weren't so much pain and death Bernie Sanders is in Chicago today. I watched a little bit of the live stream. It's interesting because he's out there fighting this oligarchy tour. Looks like Trump might meet again with Eric Adams to try to get him out the race, but I'm not even going to win that race. But what we really have is chaos theory. You have a lot of different actors with a lot of different interests who have congealed around the delivery system that is the most consistent political ideology in the history of the United States of America, white supremacy. And you have an addled, mentally unstable delivery system at the top of this, a signing pen named Donald John Trump, who will say anything. Now, this is the thing I will give him complete full credit for. He is, because he's a product of it, down to his funky little DNA, he is deeply in tune with the spirit of white supremacy. He was bred in it. His father was part of it. His family is part of it. So he understands how to tap into that visceral hatred and fear that animates his electorate. When you combine that with voter suppression, when you combine that with apathy and people don't come out to vote, you can get close enough to a margin to win elections, federal elections. You combine that with gerrymandering, the political interests that Alec has helped pioneer, and, you know, this red state thing that they put together a few years ago to begin to capture state legislatures. And you have a delivery system where you've captured the federal apparatus and enough of the state apparatus to push your agenda. Now, what is that agenda? There is no one agenda, and that's the problem. You've got religious zealots hiding under the umbrella of policymaking. Like I said, Russell Vogt, Kevin Roberts, and all these are religious zealots. That's what they are. When you read them, when you hear them. Then you have the oligarchs who want to make all the money possible, who want to crack the United States down to its marrow and extract whatever value they can before moving on. And in a global sense, you know, the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musks and others. And then you've got the agents of chaos. As Michael Caine said in Batman, some men just want to see the world burn. You've got them, but they all congealed under the grand old party, under the delivery system of the Republicans. You've got a madman, as Jasmine Crockett kind of rehearsed there, named Bobby Kennedy, as you say, Nolan, not only a dilettante, he's an idiot, a longtime addict who now has in his mind, he said, I have a wish list. This is everything I've dreamed for. That little 20-page report they put out early last week or early this week, that MAGA report, Make America Healthy Again. When you look at it, he's targeting poor diet. Okay, we can agree with that. Additives and fluoride, understand all that. But here's the problem. As you heard Congresswoman Crockett say, you're now you've collided against another interest, the billionaires who have raided our public dollars, and as a result, people don't have the money to get a diet of any kind, poor or otherwise. Then you say that you want to, that people are over-medicated and you want to deal with chemical exposure. Fine. But guess what? You're deregulating everything, and at the same time, you're loosing all of these viruses and all these diseases back because the people who vote for you don't study, have no sense, think somehow they're going to be immune, and if they pray to that Jesus they have in their mind, they will be healed. Then you got a problem. But finally, when you read that little 20-page report, which is basically a bunch of bullets, the third one is the one that should scare the hell out of us. You know, the number one cause of death among children and teens? Guns. The report says nothing about that because you're the wholly owned subsidiary of the National Rifle Association, because your votes count on getting white NASA's ginned up because you've put the Second Amendment in their minds and hearts as the battery in their souls to say, at some point, we've got to kill all the blacks, kill all the Indians, and maybe even kill all the women. And that kind of chaos can be destroyed if enough of us get together, organize, and express ourselves in the voting booth. We can roll a great deal of this back in the matter of the next few months. These special elections that are being won all over the country, the midterms coming up next year, this is the time to get off the damn bench and get in the game, because these chaos agents right here don't have a coherent plan, but the result will be the implosion of this polity.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. Wall Street Journal is reporting that Paramount Skydance is likely going to put in a massive bid to buy Warner Discovery. That's the parent company of CNN. I keep telling y'all, media is critically important to impact the minds of the masses, and that's what the right wing is doing. We're gonna break that down next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Hurricane Katrina, 20 years later. Cannot believe that it's been more than 20 years since we saw Black people and Black communities across New Orleans and the South being failed by our government. But it's a harrowing lesson. We're going to unpack how race and class intersect in ways and how we need to talk about this government doing more for our communities. Again, you're watching The Other Side of Change, only on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder Disney Plus, and I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
All right, folks, Larry Ellison's son, using his dad's money, bought Paramount CBS. Now, that same company, literally, that merger just went through. Now, Wall Street Journal is reporting that they're going to put in a massive bid to buy Warner Discovery, the parent company of CNN. Now, Warner Discovery, led by David Zaslav, they announced they're going to be splitting the company into two companies. But these folks, they want to buy the company in its entirety. Now, here's the whole deal here. Historically, it's critically important, historically, federal regulators would not allow a merger when you're talking about fewer competitors. So Paramount owns Paramount Pictures. They will be buying Warner Brothers. Both are major movie studios. But this is Donald Trump. We've already seen what's happening. Now, report just came out. Larry Ellison is now the richest man in the world. That's right, he surpassed Elon Musk. Larry Ellison, of course, founder of Oracle. Trump is going to let them also take over TikTok. So let me paint this picture for you so you understand. And Greg, I'm going to go to you first. I need people to understand that, and what these folks have been doing, what they've been doing is doing the bidding of Donald Trump. The FCC commissioner, the FCC chair said, get rid of DEI. They did it. They just hired an ombudsman for CBS who has no media experience, and he has expressed fealty to Donald Trump. That's who they hired. They're talking about cutting a deal and buying Barry Wise, her media company. She's a right-winger who left the New York Times. Guess what? And giving her editorial control over CBS. So if this happens here, that means that hardcore Trump supporters would own CBS, would own CNN, would own TikTok. I explained to people why Black Star Network matters, this show matters. And again, when you don't understand the power of media, and that's what the right wing have done. They were pissed off when George Soros bought, I forgot the radio company, it was escaping me right now, Cumulus. When he bought it, they were like, oh my God, George Soros is going to take over, and a lot of our conservative radio shows are on these stations. Because they saw what Sinclair did. They saw what Fox News has done, and Newsmax, and OAN. And so this could be a very serious issue when you talk about getting real news if they then own CBS and CNN.
No, I agree. It's interesting, Roland. It's very interesting what you've built over the last 7 years. And then with Roland Martin Unfiltered, and then over the last 4 years with the Black Star. Not only is it the wave of the future, it's the only way to go. I'm less concerned with them buying it all. Legacy media has, almost like Tim Snyder in his book on fascism talks about, do not resist in advance, do not concede in advance, do not bow down before the thing goes down. Well, they've already done that. CNN's unwatchable. God bless Abby Phillip, doing the best as close she can. She's trying to keep her job. It's unwatchable. MSNBC, of course, has had its purges, its rolling purges. They couldn't stand Melissa Harris Perry, much less Tiffany Cross or Joy Reid. They've had their purges, and now they are unwatchable. It's like a caricature listening to them. And the major networks, please. I mean, NBC carrying Chuck Todd for as long as they did, it's absurd. And now they won't even ask questions. So yeah. What if they buy it all? So what if they buy it all? Mehdi Hassan gets put off, and now he's bigger than ever. And Zateo, Jim Acosta gets put off. He goes on Substack. But all of them following really what you saw coming years ago. I'm saying all that to say this. I don't know that they buy TikTok because this is the beauty of how white nationalism, domestic white nationalism, doesn't understand, or at least understands but overplays its hand. See, there's the Chinese out there. You saw Temu, is it? They made a carve-out exception to allow them to continue to ship. Why? Because China's got the second economy in the world. You know what they're concerned about right now? I mean, they got a real estate real estate bubble, and they got some, heating in their national economy, and they got the state investments, and they got to worry about some of that stuff. But one of the biggest fights they're having in China right now is the electric vehicle fight. Why? Because the innovation is coming so fast and so furious, led by, of course, BYD, the big monster that ate Tesla's lunch in Europe and has continued to eat all over the world. Not the United States, of course, you can't get one, can you? But their big fight now is the innovation is coming so fast that the damn prices for the electric vehicles are dropping so fast that the Chinese are worried about the fact that this is a problem. The cars are too cheap and they're too good. I'm saying all that as a backdrop to this. Young people don't watch CNN. Young people don't watch MSNBC, ABC, NBC, or CBS. Young people be on them phones and be on them screens, and they use the hell out of TikTok and Instagram and all that other stuff. And if these fascists take TikTok some kind of way, and I think China will have a word to say about that, even as you say, this guy from the Hudson Institute that they put as the ombudsman of CBS was defending Taiwan and some stuff when he was at the Hudson Institute. But even if they take it over and turn it into a fascist platform, you know how quick these kids going to abandon TikTok and go to something else? The problem these fascists have is that fascism is always defeated when enough people decide that they've had enough. And they're trying to get this thing to the finish line as if there's a finish line as fast as they can, but they don't understand the forces working against them, or they think somehow they can overcome them. This is a wait and see kind of thing, but if Ellison buys it, man, you done wasted your damn money because anybody watching that ish.
The thing that is concerning here, Tim, is that when we talk about the social media platforms, many people said 2-3 months before the election how TikTok had changed. They can alter the algorithm at any time. We see Elon Musk does it as well. Mark Zuckerberg has been doing it. This is one of the reasons why we have been pushing Fanbase on here for folks to join Fanbase. So if you had 1 million followers, you can actually reach 1 million followers. You wouldn't be throttled. You wouldn't see those things along those lines. And that's the real concern here. But with this media consolidation by the right wing, it literally is about controlling the mechanism through which to communicate to people, the pipelines, how to reach them. And I was at a conference earlier this week, and I was imploring people to understand, folks, it's called mass media for a reason. You can have a town hall, you can have a gathering, you can have a Zoom call, but when you have the ability to communicate to people every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second, then you can truly affect, first of all, you can affect to create an effect of the hearts and minds of folks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my biggest concern is Larry Ellison buying TikTok and there not being a place for most people to go. All of our social networking apps have algorithms, and all of them are owned by essentially right-wing billionaires. And I think the left has to get really serious about this alternative media. I mean, like Roland, you've been doing this longer than anybody, and I hope anybody who's listening is donating to you because we frankly need you to be 100 times bigger than you are, and we need 100 other people to be 100 times bigger than they are. Because you're right, like the media consolidation is a very scary thing. Putting Barry Weiss in charge of political content on CBS News, and they're paying her $200 million for free press, which is basically a glorified Substack. I mean, it's clear, like you're right. Like they aren't doing this necessarily for the revenue. They're doing it for the power, and then the revenue will come after that. But that's why we need, on the left, we need people to come together and fund progressive media, all different types of it, because we need to reach those audiences when those algorithms get jerked around like they did before the election last year. It's a real problem, and that's why we have to stand up these media properties ourselves, because no one else is going to do it for us, and otherwise Republicans will dominate, and there will be nothing that we can do about it.
Nola.
I agree, Tim. You know, I have a small little show, you know, Nightcap on the Persist Network, which is run by women, powered by women, and we are having a hard time not just breaking through the algorithm, but finding funding. You know, our entire purpose is to counter the manosphere, but it's very hard to do that when you don't have the resources. But luckily, we have so many women in our network that, for instance, my show, I get great women, you know, to talk to and interview, but we haven't been able to break through. But, you know, I want to go back to something that Greg said. You know, the way that propaganda works and the way that it works inside of fascism, you know, is it's across sectors. So while young folks don't have their eyes on MSNBC and CNN, it is layered conditioning, it's layered propaganda. So you have their parents, their grandparents who are tuned into Fox News all day, who are listening to certain things, right? They're talking about it in the home, right? And then now you have this lean towards the right in entertainment. You know, you go on Netflix or you go on Amazon, there are movies that are pro-Trump folks, these very pro-American, you know, this kind of return back to 24 style TV shows about DHS and the FBI and all these things. So it's layered. It's not just about CNN. It's not just about MSNBC. Yes, it's about the TikToks. It's about social media. It's about what's being talked about at home. It's about what movies you are seeing. It's about the Sydney Sweeneys and, you know, the American Eagle and her jeans. It's propaganda, and it's in every single sector. So while the young folks may not be seated in front of those, you know, corporate media channels, it is part of a layered strategy, and that is how propaganda spreads. And so that's my worry. I've even heard conversations, you know, change on the different campuses that I'm in among, you know, young folks. And even going back, you know, to Charlie Kirk, he had a hold over young people. You know, this 31-year-old man, he was definitely moving the, not even conservative movement, because this is beyond conservatism. This is something else. He resonated with them, right? Through the rallies, which is a huge part of the propaganda piece, right? These rallies that are almost billed like festivals. So you have all of this and all of
but the media, right. But the media, the reason first of all, having an organization is one thing. The media piece is totally different, because what you're now seeing is, again, I need people to understand what we're talking about here. You have Paramount, CBS, Paramount Plus, the streaming service, but then if you talk about Warner Discovery, you're talking about Discovery and all other cable channels as well. And we've already seen where when Donald Trump says jump, Paramount Skydance goes, okay, how high, how many times? So that's what I think people need to understand. The tentacles here are wide and deep. When you talk about multiple, you know, you got Discovery, you got TNT, you got TBS, you got CNN. So the bid they're going to be putting in is for all of it. And so that's really what I'm trying to get people to understand. What is at play here? To understand, and then of course, remember, TikTok was supposed to be shut down. Donald Trump has been extending this thing incessantly, and again, people are essentially saying he is going to position it to where Larry Ellison is able to own it. And so now all of a sudden you have that platform. And so all these things are happening. I just want people to understand what media is huge. Media plays a massive role in shaping people's viewpoint on so many issues. So whether it's legacy media, whether it's television, whether it's broadcast, cable, whether it's radio, billboards, advertising, now digital, movies, you name it, it is absolutely massive. I got to do this real quick, y'all. So I got to do this real quick. Target. The boycott Target continues. And they thought, hey, we're going to hire some black people, some black influencers. They got Kai Cenat and other people, you know, doing stuff in their stores. They thought, man, Back to school, man, we're going to be back in business. Oh, foot traffic declined for the 7th consecutive month in August. Now, a national teachers union has joined the boycott. That's right. Data from Placer.ai says Target foot traffic dropped 3.3% year over year. The week beginning August 25th, which included the Labor Day weekend, saw an even sharper decline of 4.6%, marking the retailer's steepest weekly drop in 7 weeks. Also on Labor Day, the American Federation of Teachers and the Chicago Teachers Union announced they were joining the boycott. It comes in response to Target scaling back a lot of its debt, diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives earlier this year. And let me check, because I checked yesterday, because I got a phone call on this, and I checked yesterday. Target stock is up. But yesterday, Target stock had not been that low, y'all, in 5 years. Matter of fact, where it is now, if I'm looking right here. So on September 11th, 2020, Target stock was $147.65. And then it went as high as $261, and then it dropped, to $147 on July 8th, 2022. Then you had more drops, and then it went all the way down to a low of $107 on $107.23 on October 27th. 2023, then it went up to $168, $171. Well, guess what? That stock price now is at its lowest point in 5 years. So right now, Target stock closed at $91.52. That's the lowest it's been in 5 years. How about them apples, no?
I mean, what you always say, FAFO. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It makes me kind of giddy. I wish that method was applied, to other companies. Amazon. For one, these people respond to their bottom line, and the power that the people truly have is their spending power, and that really is what's going to move the needle in our political landscape, because these people think that we are just mindless drones, essentially, and we're going to spend our money regardless. And, like I said, FAFO, and it needs to be applied to other companies.
Tim, they're learning the hard way. We don't have to spend our money with you.
No, and I think that going after corporations that are doing the bidding of the Trump administration is probably a very effective way to enact change. And I think that the most insane thing about the whole DEI thing is that it has been proven time and time again that DEI is good for the bottom line. It's just a fact, and because you get more diverse voices in positions of leadership, and you get a better product because you get more perspectives. And then also, we're seeing what's happening to Target when they basically just folded to Donald Trump, and the consumers said, screw you, basically. And then we've seen the opposite at Costco, because Costco, actually, their board said, hell no, we're not getting rid of DEI. And I'm pretty sure that their stock has gone up. It doesn't pay in 2025 to play this game, because there are more of us than them. When I'm talking about progressives compared to these, the anti-DEI thing is just a racist reaction to people of color be getting more positions of power, which is long overdue, and still not even remotely close to where we need to be. But this is what America wants. America actually does want DEI in general, and people need to understand that it's not just morally the right thing to do. Financially, it also is the right thing to do. And Target has effed around, and they certainly are finding out now.
So, Greg, to that point Tim just made, the last 5 years, Target's stock is down 38%. In the last 5 years, Costco stock is up 184%. Of course, this whole thing started around January 24th. That's when Target announced the DEI. Costco stock was $939.68. It went up to $1,048 on February 28th. It went down. It went back up. It closed today at $964.32, which is over the last month, it's down 2%, but last 6 months it's up 3.6%. But go right ahead.
Well, brother, I echo what you said, Tim. I think brand loyalty, I think the idea that you're part of a movement bigger than you is the kind of thing that capitalism has always seized on, but it's also the kind of thing that can defeat the predatory capitalism, which some people would say predatory capitalism is redundant. But you know, to tie these things together, and you've already kind of laid it out, we talk about mass media, we talk about, and I agree with you, Nola, about that whole layering and how people are affected. Somehow, Target's timing was terrible. And for a brief moment, Target leapt above like a fish above the sea, and everybody saw Target and said, that's the one. Now, as you say, Tim, if that can be replicated, we get the list. I think about the anti-apartheid movement when I was an undergrad at Tennessee State. We have a list. I still don't buy some of those products because we were, they leapt above the fray for a moment. We said, Nelson Mandela, who is that? Oh, Winnie Mandela. Wait, Reebok? Or is it, Gulf? Oh, hell no. And then that left. Now, capturing that is possible. And as you said, a combination of mass media and the delivery system is necessary in that. And Roland, remember, this was, how long ago was that, brother? Was it 23 when they got rid of Dr. McElroy at Texas A&M? I'm trying. The sister, journalist. Yeah. And remember, you came on here and let them have holy hell, including telling black athletes not to play for Texas A&M. Now, I'm not saying anybody signed or didn't sign, but merely that momentum that I know you played a major part in, the president of Texas A&M resigned that summer. Because she had botched this, and they had left this sister out to dry. Now I'm saying that fast forward to now. I read an article in today's New York Times, the president of Ohio State kind of hinting at the idea that maybe the Ohio State should get an outsized cut of the Big Ten money, the television money, and maybe one day, he didn't say this, but they were speculating that Ohio State may leave the Big Ten. Maybe Penn State will go and they'll form a superstar conference, a mega conference, maybe get Alabama and some other. Well, guess what? Learn this lesson from what's happening to Target right now. Y'all keep this white nationalism up. Please keep it up. Because if you punch through the consciousness of enough black people, and that layering with the adults and the middle-aged folk and the young and the younger than them folk begin to affect the mind of these children and these teenagers. When the first two or three are those women athletes saying, I love Dawn Staley, but I'm not playing for the University of South Carolina. I'm not playing for the University of Texas. And then a couple of football players say, I'm not playing for Oklahoma. I'm not playing for Ohio State. I'm going to go to Central State, or I'm going to go play. I could play for Grambling, or I could play basketball at Jackson State. This was Deion Sanders' mixed opportunity because he was one of those fish that leapt up just above, and we captured the imagination. I think what this Target thing signals is, if you can capture the imagination for a split second, the role of media, you might possibly be able to trigger something that can bring this entire house of cards down. That to me is enough on its own to support the Black Star Network. BET is toast. Isn't BET owned by Paramount?
Paramount owns BET. Paramount. Yeah, and they got a 1 hour news show per month that nobody watches. So that's it. And I want to close the show out with this here. Yes. Right. So I'm going to close the show out with this here. I'm not far from Austin, Texas, and just so y'all understand, so we all know black parents got to give their kids to talk, especially their black sons, when it comes to how to deal with police. Well, you got this alt-right pastor, Joe Webon, who goes on the podcast and says that white parents need to give their kids the talk. Listen.
If you're a Christian white parent who loves the Lord and loves your children, that you need to have the talk. The talk that we're referencing is the talk that takes your children according to their maturity at the proper time, the appropriate time, and says, there are certain parts of town that you cannot go. And there are certain people that you cannot be around.
Yep.
Right? If there's someone who is black in our church, and they've been in our church, and we know them, and they love the Lord Jesus Christ, great. We're not talking about that person, but we're talking about when you go into a crowd of people. If you go into a crowd of strangers, and they're white strangers, there's some danger. If they're black strangers, there is 30 times more danger. Them's the facts. And it is actually a failure of your parental duty, white parents. Please hear me. If you teach your children growing up, if you lie to them and say all people and all races of people in our country are the same, they are not. You are actually depriving your child of factual, truthful information that could save their life.
So let me help y'all out. If you're black and you attend Covenant Bible Church in Georgetown, your ass crazy. If you literally sit under the stewardship of that racist, then you must absolutely belong to the Clarence Thomas fan club. If you are black and you are anywhere near that church, then Jordan Peele was talking about your ass and Get Out. Now, this guy, he's also the founder of a white Christian nationalist website called Right Response Ministries. And the thing here, Tim, that people need to understand is white pastors like this guy all around the country. These are the people, I forgot that other crazy fool in Tennessee said, if you're a Democrat, get out of my church, you're demonic. These are the people who have been advocating for Trump, and they changed the rule for the IRS to allow them to endorse from the pulpit. These are the fake Christians. These are the people who are not real Christians, or they are, as Bishop Barber says, these are the people who advocate that slave-holding religion or that slave-holding Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would feel a lot safer being in a black community than being in that church, for example. I mean, these people are horrifically racist, and the sad reality is that Donald Trump has normalized this, and the right-wing media networks have made this okay to say. And, I thought we were, maybe naively, well, definitely naively, thought we were maybe getting past some of this. But again, this comes back to the fact that these people they don't believe, they're not following the gospel or the Bible or anything like that. They are using it to control people and to gain power and financial power. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what is in that book. And it is disgusting. And, I look at this stuff and it just blows my mind that anybody could believe it. But there are tens of millions of Americans that do. And we have a lot of work to do to push back and push this into the gutter where it absolutely belongs.
Yep, and they're just showing, guys like him, if you are a member of that church, we don't want nothing to do with you, Nola, because you are delusional as well.
This isn't about Christianity. I'm not even about to sit here and waste my Christian breath on talking about what the gospel is and what it isn't. I always ask people if they've ever seen The Black Klansman and if they saw the end of the movie when Spike Lee does this wonderful job of explaining David Duke's long plan of infiltration. And so through my lens, this is how I see this. This is infiltration. This is infiltration, where Jethro comes out of the overalls and puts on a suit, goes to the good schools and, expands vocabulary and are infiltrated in different parts of quote unquote polite society. Even though his delivery was calm, as if, I'm relatable and I'm the sensitive guy. I'm not trying to be a racist. Black Christians, as we define them, are okay, but it's those other ones, right? So this is us versus them, plain and simple. It is not the gospel. There is nothing that Jesus taught about that was rooted in hate. So it's laughable. It's disgusting. And in my view, the thing that, they project a lot, the thing that they call demonic is exactly this. You are using the word of God and you are turning it and twisting it into something gross and detestable. But before we go, Roland, I want to say, one thing. As we are sitting here in reflection of 9/11 and all the things that are going on in our country, there is something else that is also going on that is equally scary, and that is what recently happened in Poland with 19 Russian drones entered Poland's airspace. So in as much as we have things going on here domestically, we also have to keep our eyes on what's happening around the world. And Hitler in 1939 invaded Poland in September. So these echoes, these historical echoes, we're not just feeling them here domestically, it's happening around the world. And so I know we are all overwhelmed and exhausted, but there's a lot that's going on.
Right.
I just want people to be awake and aware.
Well, what we're dealing with here, again, Greg, we've seen preachers like this here. These are the folks who meet with Trump. They're the people who met with numerous presidents and mayors and whatever. That dude that would feel right at home if the White Citizens Council came back, because no doubt he would be elected chair.
Maybe he would be elected chair. He'd certainly be a member. Maybe he'd be elected chair. But I mean, the reason I was laughing, look at him. Look at him. See, this is the kind of thing that they try to get the trigger. I don't know that he could get elected because they'd be looking at him, look at your corny ass. Ain't nobody gonna make you the leader or nothing. This is a man, look at this guy, man. So I guess what I'm saying is this. See, Charlie Kirk was murdered yesterday, and it's a tragedy, and nobody should be killed. There's a common theme running through this whole thing. These are the people who have lived their whole lives being ground into self-esteem dust by people who have clowned them for how they look, how they sound. And it's a tragedy because that's the kind of thing that nobody should have to endure. But they found in this movement, in this white nationalist movement, in this male-centered movement, some reason for being. They can be important. And I guess what I'm saying is, and Noah, thank you for bringing up what happened in Poland, because the way I understand it, right, they evoked Article 4, rather the NATO Charter, which is the step they need to do before they go to number 5. We might be on the verge of World War. Right, that might be that's probably the biggest story of the week, what you just debate. These Russians messing around here on this border, and of course, their wholly owned subsidiary. I can see Putin making a call to Trump and say, hey, P-boy, stay out of it. I mean, very easily. I mean, there's something going on in the world right now that's going to render all this irrelevant, but I'll end with this. People who feel like they've been diminished, they've been demeaned, people who feel like they failed in life, those people flock to people like we just saw. It isn't just the message. It's the ethos. It's the avatar. It's the image. And so you see disheveled-ass Steve Bannon, who's a millionaire, leading these lemmings off the cliff. You see guys like this talking very calm in their dad jeans, with hiding behind their fake beard, with their little man, whatever that shit is that you put in to make your beard go dark, with them glasses on, looking like he's trying to grow a chin like Tom Cotton. I don't know what it is in Missouri, and the senators ain't got no chins, whether it's Tom Cotton or Eric Schmidt, but this guy would be right at home, like his neck goes right up to his lip. And so he's talking about giving the talk. Ain't nobody listen to you, man. You fuck around, get your ass whipped out here in these streets. Listen. If you're black, like you say, Ron, and you listen to that dude, you got bigger problems than to talk. We just need to get our acts. I'm sorry, no. I'm looking at the guy like, come on, man. Really? Really? Like you said, bro. Like you say, no, they get ready to start War 3. And this boy right here, who looks like, what's his name? Listen, our children would drag this man for filth. He looks like, what's that guy that made Star Wars? Who's the...
Lucas?
He
George
looks like
Lucas?
a cartoon version of George Lucas. Yeah, that's exactly like a cartoon George Lucas. Ain't nobody listening to you. Get the... Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me stop.
I don't even know. I don't even know if he went to seminary. All right, y'all. That is it for us. Next week, we prepared some stuff last week. The best. We prepared some stuff for y'all. We were gonna play the best of the last 7 years of Roland Martin Unfiltered. We've been so busy with stories. And we're gonna roll that Monday and Tuesday. And we'll get y'all know. Y'all remember Philip from Indianapolis? That boy being in witness protection after I destroyed him. Well, the Republican governor of Indiana. Y'all kill the music, please. Kill the music. Thank you. The Republican governor of Indiana actually named him the executive director of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. Seriously. And yes, somebody sent me on Facebook, so you know I had to comment. I was like, hey, Philip is now out of witness protection program after I destroyed his lame ass. And so, yeah, I can't wait. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to be in Indiana September 21st. Maybe I will invite Philip to come to the church. Well, it's a black church, so I don't know if Philip going to show up. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Because Philip more likely to show up at Covenant Bible Church in Georgetown, Texas, than he would at a black church in Indianapolis. So just want to let y'all know that. So, yes, I'm being petty because I shall always be petty. Let me thank Nola, Tim, Greg for being on today's show. Thank you so very much. I appreciate all three of y'all being on today's panel. Thanks a lot. Have a fantastic weekend. Y'all, I'm here. Yes, I will be on the show tomorrow, y'all. I am here in Texas. My man Roland Parrish got a golf tournament tomorrow, so we're going to have a good time with Roland tomorrow, and so looking forward to that. But, folks, that's it for us. Do me a favor. Join our Bring the Fuck fan club. Your dollars really make it possible to do the work that we do. It's critically important. We are about black-owned media, but we are centered. We're not asking anybody's opinion when it comes to the stories that we want to talk about. We talk about the stuff that matter to our people, and so it matters as well when you support us. First and foremost, all y'all on YouTube, do me a favor. Y'all should be hitting the doggone like button. How we had more than 6,000 people watching live, and we got 1,900 likes. That literally makes no sense whatsoever. We should easily be at 3,000 before I get done. So that's 1,100. So y'all hurry up and hit the damn like button. I'll see y'all all comment and hit the like button. All right, folks, support the show. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. The goal is to raise $1 million between now and December 31st. If you want to use Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. Credit card applications as well. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. PayPal, again, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, of the Browning of Americas, Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available. Bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. You want to get our T-shirts? I saw y'all folks have been commenting on social media. They love me when I wear the shirts on the show. The one says, MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. That was the Anthony Scaramucci quote. We also got our hashtag, we tried to tell you, FAFO 2025 with Project crossed out. And, of course, the most popular shirt, don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. Get that at shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can also, of course, use the QR code. The QR code, you see it right there. And also, we got black-owned products. We've got great companies. Man, we've got popcorn, treats. We've got candles. We've got shirts. We got skincare products. all that stuff on our marketplace, shopblackstarnetwork.com. What y'all? Come on, y'all, give me a shot of the products. Come on, don't just show. Come on, we gotta start. Don't just show the graphic, y'all. Give me some products. Also, pull the website up, please. Okay, thank you very much. Pull the website up. So you can see. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to support these black-owned companies. Some amazing products, and so please. We just had yesterday Damo Inc., who is the artist, and so she's got some great stuff, and so support there as well. Y'all not gonna show the website? We're not gonna have a shot of the products on my desk? I understand, we do this every day. No, I don't want to see the graphic. Show the products on the desk, please. We do this every day. Show the website. I'm not closing the show until we do it. Well, I don't understand. We should have the lights on every day. We do this at the end of the show every day. When I'm not there, get this done right, y'all. I shouldn't have to be asking for this live on the air. This is the website, shopblackstarnetwork.com. Y'all see the products on there. Those are the art pieces. We got other companies on there as well. We've got the candles that smell like your favorite desserts. We got all of that, okay? We got skincare products, all sort of stuff like that as well on shopblackstarnetwork.com. And so there you go. So please support those owners. All right, folks, don't forget to also download the app Fanbase. Download the app Fanbase. And if you want to support Fanbase by investing, go to startengine.com/Fanbase, startengine.com/Fanbase. All right, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live from Texas. Holla!